You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drakewing Gaming and Sunny Mountain Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you on a Let's Play episode of a repeat, Owen's Path. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's-a go. Let's-a go. There we go. Okay. Well, it's a long story, but I fucked up and the two of us aren't exactly on speaking terms. At least I don't think so. Are you gonna try to, unfuck it anytime soon? It's probably better to actually talk to the guy than to sneak around his house. Owen let out a heavy sigh and shook his head rapidly, as if to ward off unwelcome thoughts. Look, Adrian, I just want to go make sure he's safe. Will you come with me or not? I studied Owen's grim face with worry. I didn't completely agree with his plan, but at the same time, there was a lot I didn't know about the situation. More importantly, Owen clearly didn't want to face the Samuel on his own. I sighed and gently stood up on my toes to pat Owen on the head. Of course I'm coming. I'm your bodyguard, after all. We're heading to Derry Street, right? Just lead the way. Owen smiled and nodded gratefully. It turned out that Derry Street was not nearby. I bent over my burning calves and rasped for precious air as we finally reached our destination. Owen hardly broke a sweat as he casually strolled down the sidewalk beside me. Geez, you really have to work out more. We've only been walking for half an hour. Need me to carry you? I shot him a wry glare as I steadied myself upright. It was tempting, and my last remaining shred of pride was the only thing stopping me from collapsing myself onto Owen. I can't just let myself be carried. What kind of bodyguard would I be? You'd be a mascot. Cute, but ultimately useless. Damn, Owen, that's cold. You wound me. Owen chuckled as I sulked my way down the sidewalk. Not that I had a moment to catch my breath. Now that I had a moment to catch my breath, I finally had the chance to take in my surroundings. Wow, so this was Derry Street. I've never been to this side of town before, and now I can see why. The street was lined with pretentiously gaudy houses and painfully green lawns. And there were fences that screamed, "You ain't good enough to live here," to us common folk. It was fairly quiet here. There was barely any traffic or people around. And there's the house! Owen suddenly elbowed me and gestured toward a surprisingly small and modest house. The lawn was rather unkempt, but the home looked cozy and inviting. A frigid chill suddenly slid down my spine as I glanced upward. There was a flock of small birds circling the house, their wings shimmering, a brilliant kaleidoscope of colors. They didn't look natural. Hey, Owen, do you see those birds? What birds? How can you miss them? They're right... I blinked, confused. The flock of birds was suddenly nowhere to be found, disappearing just as quickly as they came. I swear I saw... I've just been my imagination. I focused my attention back on the house of this Samuel. The house's neighbors have barricaded it with offensively large white fences, as if to ward off its inhabitants. Whoever lived here had given up on taming the weeds plaguing the lawn, and instead tried to outshine them with brilliant orange rose bushes. Oh god, I'm drinking blackberry lemonade, y'all. It's incredible. There was also an incredibly ugly orange motorcycle parked in the driveway. I squinted at the hideous atrocity. Its oversaturated mess of colors stared back as if to taunt me. I stumbled backwards in disgust. That is the ugliest damn motorcycle I have ever seen. Owen looked utterly offended. What are you talking about? She's a beaut. Maybe you should borrow Philip's glasses. That thing is a crime against nature. Who actually picks orange as the color for their bike? I'll have you know, orange is the classiest of colors, and I love it. Well, maybe you got bad taste. I suddenly froze as the realization hit me. Wait, is this your motorcycle? Owen spluttered, crossing his arms and refusing to look my way. Not at all, I just like orange. You mentioned your butler bought you an orange motorcycle earlier. Wait, is this your house? Is Samuel your butler? He's the big scruffy one in your photo, isn't he? Well, maybe. Come on, Owen, you suck at lying. Why were you trying to hide this the whole time? Infiltration my ass, you're sneaking into your own house. Owen sighed and scratched his head tiredly. I was hoping to get this done and over with without bringing it up. Just didn't want to think about it, really. I, ran away from home when I was 12, and I haven't come back for 7 years. What? Why'd you run away? My mom had just fallen ill and passed away, and my uncle got arrested and murdered in prison. It was a tough time for everyone in the family. Owen paused for a bit. My family, not the Loreleis. Nobody would tell me what was going on. Nobody explained why my family just fell apart out of the blue. I only had Samuel left, and even he was barely coping with it. Owen sighed and stuffed his hands into his pockets before staring off into the distance. There was a look of shame on his face. You know how when you're angry, you shout and yell and scream things you'll end up regretting later? Like the frustration just takes over and you end up hurting people close to you? Yeah, I did that. To Samuel. He probably hates my ungrateful ass now, and I don't blame him. But I still want to make sure he's alright, you know? He's all I got left. I reached up to place a hand on Owen's shoulder. He shook it off. Have you tried talking to him? Honestly, I'm too scared shitless to talk to him. I really messed up, Adrian. Come on, Owen, you gotta at least try. You can't just leave stuff like this hanging forever. It's been 7 years. If you care about Samuel that much, you have to at least give him some closure. Owen sighed heavily and rubbed the bridge of his nose. I'll try. No promises, though. Owen shook his head furiously to clear his thoughts before making his way down the street. Come on, Adrian. Gotta make sure he's still alive first. As we approached the house, Owen's eyes glazed over with nostalgia. Man, this brings back memories. I kinda miss the good old days where I was still ignorant of everything. Owen sighed bitterly as he stepped onto the driveway. Oh, God, that's so good. The neighbors haven't changed much either. I remember once my mother got into a fistfight with this PTA lady next door because she said I was a wild hooligan. Yikes, not exactly a friendly neighbor. Yeah, well, our house was infamous on Derry Street. My mom and uncle, well, he wasn't my real uncle, but he might as well be. Hated all the neighbors. They were all pretty nosy and intrusive. My goodness, Heather, you're married but are living without your husband and with 2 other men? Scandalous. Owen's attempt at imitating a high-pitched old lady was ridiculous. So my mom and uncle went out of their way to annoy the shit out of everyone. They'd sneak out in the middle of the night and blast country music around the street. At the time, they decorated our house with so many Christmas lights that the neighbors called the fire department on us. I take it everyone on Derry Street stayed the hell away from you guys. Yeah, pretty much. My house was the definition of private. The neighbors would walk around the block just to avoid us. Owen's grin faltered slightly. When I think about it, Mom probably intended for that to happen. He sighed and shook his head before forcing himself to grin. Anyway, let's sneak inside. He peered into one of the windows and frowned. Looks like no one's home. Owen bit his lip in slight worry. Somebody probably went out to grab groceries or something. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, I hope so. Alright, let's go. Are we going to sneak through a window, or maybe pick the lock on the back door? Dude, it's my house. I've got the keys to the front door. Well, that's just boring. The house smelled light and lemony, as though someone repeatedly scrubbed it down with scented soap. I quietly closed the door behind us and peeked around. It looked like we were alone here. Gotta admit, this was not how I imagined Owen would take me home to the family. Owen sighed as he wandered around the room, his eyes unfocused in a nostalgic haze. This place hasn't changed a bit. Heh, that burn mark when Mum blew up the kitchen is still there. Owen, why is there a gun hanging from the coat rack? Oh, that must be one of Mum's precautions. Precautions? Owen shrugged, as if that explained everything. Come on, Adrian, let's check if Samuel's been around. Owen and I strolled around the kitchen, slowly taking in our surroundings. The house definitely felt lived in. The coffee machine was still warm, and there was a pit of unwashed dishes in the sink. Samuel's getting sloppy. Uncle Graham usually badgered him until he got the chores done. I kinda expected something perfect and clean from a house with an actual butler. At least we know he's still alive and well, right? Maybe, but I'm not leaving until we get sight of him in the flesh. Looked up from poking at the dishes with dismay. Why is there a knife taped under the kitchen sink? Precautions. Right. Did people break into your house often? Why the hell would you need so many precautions? Owen grabbed a chair from the kitchen table before sinking into it with an exhausted slouch. That's exactly why. I always wondered why people liked targeting our house specifically when I was little. I always figured it's because my mother was so wealthy. Owen hung his head back and stared at the ceiling with half-lidded eyes. The empty house was silent for several long moments. I shifted around uncomfortably. I felt like an outsider here, like someone seeing something meant for another's eyes. My ears perked up when Owen finally spoke. This is gonna sound horrible, but the lower life family just disappeared. No more fighting, no more guns, no more schemes. Just disappear. My stomach twisted in a painful knot as I slowly processed those words. Like how the Adlife family disappeared? Yeah. Owen, that's kinda horrible. Yeah. But it'd be for the greater good, you know? More importantly. Owen sighed and closed his eyes. I just want my family back. Owen and I nearly jump out of our skins as the front door suddenly rattled open. Shit, he's home! Heavy footsteps echoed through the empty house, slowly making its way towards the kitchen. Do we just go up to him and say hello, or... Shh! Owen suddenly grabbed me by the hand. The two of us squeezed into a nearby cupboard just in time to hide from the massive man entering the kitchen. Huh! Oh, yeah, he gon'... I pressed up tightly against Owen in our cramped hiding place, both holding our breath in suspense. We squinted through the tiny crack of the door as the man scanned around the room cautiously. Samuel hadn't changed much since Owen's photo was taken. There were a few more age lines under his eyes, and that shit-eating grin in the photo had been replaced with a tired scowl. He circled around the kitchen table quietly before setting down his groceries in the chair Owen sat in moments ago. I'm home, Samuel mumbled out to no one in particular. His greeting echoed quietly through the empty house. I felt Owen's grip tighten on my hand. He was shaking behind me, as if to stop himself from reaching out to his only surviving family. Are you okay? Owen merely nodded quietly. There was a sudden clack as his head hit a box of ramen noodles behind him. The two of us froze. Samuel gave a startled yelp and leapt to his feet. He grabbed the cupboard door and yanked it open. His jaws dropped with shock. Owen! Hey, Samuel, it's been a while. How did you... Samuel didn't get to finish. Owen grabbed a small cardboard box from the cupboard and threw it over the butler's head. But why did you... Don't ask, just run! Before I knew it, Owen grabbed my hand in a panicked haze and dragged me upstairs, leaving behind a bewildered Samuel. What the fuck? Owen and I panted heavily as we dashed around the house and up the stairs. Samuel's heavy and confused footsteps were following quickly behind us. I glanced up at Owen as he grabbed my hand again and dragged me down the hall. What the hell was that? Why'd you throw a box over your butler's head? I thought you said we would talk to him. I'm sorry, I panicked, okay? What do we do now? I have no godly idea. I didn't exactly plan this far. Owen, you little shit, get back here, we gotta talk. Oh shit, here he comes. Owen and I jumped into a nearby bedroom and slammed the door shut, the two of us utterly winded. I could hear Samuel's footsteps thundering up the stairs. Alright, I think I got a plan. I'm not sure I have much faith in your planning skills anymore. No, this one's a good idea. You're going to distract Samuel for half a second while I make my getaway. What? I mean, you are my bodyguard. Why don't you just talk to the poor guy? This isn't bodyguarding, you're using me as a meat shield. Hey, Samuel would never hurt you. Be honest, he probably treat you like a guest and cook you dinner or something. But me? Oh, that's a whole other story. The house shook as Samuel hurtled down the hallway towards this room. I gulped. Owen, you're the worst. I'll make it up to you later. Just hold him off for a bit. There was a sudden, surprisingly gentle knock on the door as Samuel stood outside. I stared at the doorknob like a deer caught in the headlights while Owen leapt to the other side of the room. You can do it. I believe in you. I promptly flipped him the bird. Things I do for this guy. All right, Adrian, here we go. With a sigh, I slowly opened the door. Oh, hello there. You must be Samuel. It's a pleasure to meet you. Samuel was absolutely intimidating as he towered over me with a raised eyebrow. You one of Owen's friends? Yes? Samuel sighed. To my surprise, he reached down and gave me a gentle pat on the head. Brave little fella, aren't you? Let me guess. Owen said something like, hold him off for me while he went into hiding. Something like that. You guys really should have taught him a little more chivalry when he was younger. Samuel smirked and glanced around the room. Yeah, we did spoil him quite a bit. Anyway, where's the little brat? I've got a few words I'd like to share with him. There was a loud rustling from the end of the room. He glanced over my shoulder and gulped. Actually, he just left. Samuel gaped at it as Owen soared out the window and landed on what sounded like a bush in the neighbor's yard. That's so fucking stupid. Why would you do that? Why not just talk to your butler? There was more rustling, followed by the sound of an elderly lady screaming as Owen dashed down the street as quickly as his legs could take him. Oi, that's expensive! Samuel scrambled across the room and stuck his head out the broken window to scream at Owen's retreating figure. You could have just snuck around. Fixing windows ain't cheap, you little shit. Put it on my tab! Samuel sighed tiredly as Owen sped off into the sunset. That little shit hasn't changed much, has he? Always running away with his tail tucked between his legs. He turned towards me. I gave Samuel my most innocent smile. This is a weird family. Samuel snorted. You have no idea. Anywho, you want to join me downstairs for tea? Haven't entertained a guest for a while. Alright, y'all, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon or our YouTube memberships if you can. It always helps. But anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!